And now we are moving towards the final panel, which is in the role of GIFT-IFSC in pioneering financial innovation in the precious metals ecosystem in India. The panel discussion will update the audience on the latest developments and regulatory initiatives at GIFT-IFSC aimed at building a robust precious metals ecosystem from scratch. And moderating this session is Mr. Soma Sundaram, former regional CEO, India, World Gold Council. We welcome you, sir. Joining him as esteemed panelists are Professor Sundaravali N., Chairperson, India Gold Policy Center, IIM Ahmedabad. Welcome, sir. Who has just earned a big applaud, Mr. Ashok Gautam, MD and CEO, India International Bullion Exchange, IFSC Limited. Welcome back, sir. Mr. Manish Goyal, Head, Bullion, ICICI Bank. Ms. Pravina Rai, MD and CEO, Multi Commodities Exchange. Welcome, ma'am. Mr. Mehul Thakur, Head Business Development, FI, First Ran Bank. Welcome, sir. And Mr. Surendra Mehta, National Secretary, India Bullion and Jewelers Association. Mehul is not able to join, so we have these esteemed panelists over here and moderator, sir. So we request the moderator, Mr. Soma Sundaram, to take over, please.
Final session, yet we'll keep it very interesting so you all miss your flights if you have any. Thank you all very much. I have a very, very powerful panel, experts who, and the subject we are going to talk about is the role of IFSC, GIFT-IFSC in financial innovation. Ashok just made a good presentation. So originally I had planned that I'll ask Ashok the question, but I'm going to just come to you later. He just made quite a bit, which actually adds to what our discussion is going to be. So I'm going to go straight. As you know, she heads MCX, which is one of the most successful experiments that happened years ago. And now we see what the result is. So, commodity exchanges there have a lot of changes. Can you talk about a few achievements in the last 20 years which you consider very innovative organized? What strikes you? MCX is now very, very successful. What strikes you is, oh, this was really innovative those times. It may not be innovative now, but what would you say or two that really? I just want to set the context for GIFT.
I think it's very simple. It's about addressing all the aspects that have. It's barely just one element. Of course, the underlying need is the need to hedge, but to actually fructify it, that one needs to get a few things right, and that's what MCX has done. So on the one hand, if we look at participants, the depth of participants is both deep and wide, and by that I would say one would look at hedgers, and that's the core. Look at investors, traders, as well as retail participants. So that gives the whole depth and width when it comes to participation. And the second component, which is the more important one, is really in terms of the way the products are structured. So it's not a very groundbreaking innovation, but these are the simple things that matter. So if you look at the range of products, and even if you look at something like the gold contract, it has a 1 gram, there's an 8 gram, there's a 1 kg. So, and each has a different kind of constituent involved. In fact, I think the 1 gram, very nicely called the gold petal, is actually targeted towards retail. And there is a good volume that really happens on that. So that continuous progress of looking at different kind of categories, addressing different needs is critical. There's also the way deliverables work, and that's about really executing to the deliverable. So there again, the participation of the hedgers and the quantum of deliverables that happens for gold and silver on the exchange warehouses is a significant volume. And I would look at the third one, which is really the MCX good delivery. And there you can say the real delta of innovation starts coming in, because we're really used to the LBMA standard. And for India to develop its own standard and start defining the MCX good delivery standard was very important. So which means that there's an opportunity for looking at refining gold within the country and having that come back into circulation, MCX standard. That was a very important element. So I think it's a combination of all of these put together that's really driven the success over time.
Thank you. That was interesting. Had products, participants, and need not, as you rightly said, need not be that big bang thing. Got to be those small, finally, India good deliveries. Spoke about. Now that's very encouraging, because the moment you speak about innovation, I think it's the recovery of not what we are looking at. And after all, in financial products, hardly going to get probably a little bit better customer service that makes it innovative in current. So maybe I think that's very interesting at that point. I'm going to come back to each one of you, but quickly, I will go back to Professor Ali. Professor, what do you think when we say financial innovation? Look at the global scenario, last 2 days. And I would like it to be closer to India, but if it is any other global area where you have seen it, that's also fine. What would you say is the biggest? There are several, we all know that, but as I said, particularly India, what would you say? Is it Aadhaar? Is it else? Study this. What would you say as the biggest? Not in GIFT-IFSC, broadly. Now that was it. I want to get the context.
Thanks, something close to my heart and professional, See, again and again we speak about innovation. Innovation tend to associate with technology and advancement. Not that there is, and so in that context, I would like to pick up from the 3 that you mentioned also, other that we typically call. See, is it something new? Is it something new? Is it something innovative? Sometimes you look at global scenario of fintech, one of the most praiseworthy things being talked about is India's UPI payment. So that is something that we can't ignore. That is something very commendable. So we all talk about it, but I would like to, but why we have achieved? Why not country? For example, we are going to talk about mobile banking or an wide or an internet mechanism. Two other has it. Americas have it. Everybody has it. So why don't we talk? Why they achieve, or did they achieve something that we have achieved something which is remarkable? Where exactly is it? That is something that I would like to justify, or I would like to present opportunity. When we look at the global scenario, asking Japan, as you know, is a very conservative and very traditional mindset. The culture is very traditional. Even getting into digital banking, uh, not having a hard currency is something that is not acceptable to culture. And when you look at Europe, Europe has got other ways of looking at security from a very different angle. Is my data secure? Is my privacy compromised? So that is a very different kind. And when you look at America, I have my own things and my own understanding of America. Though the largest control of private banking or private holding at a very different, want to get there. Perhaps Africa. Africa, the penetration of mobile banking and the usage, and all these things. In spite of all these things, why India has been talked in and there are a few things I'd like to say here. The biggest thing is that how we scaled up. There is in this business about this 80. So in any sector verticals, if you look, 20% of the 80 volume comes from percent of the. So in general, to target that 20%, because they. But look at in payments or for that context, what we talk in the panel otherwise, that 8% volume, are you capturing that volume? Because their stakes are very high. The 20% holding the stakes are very high and they are very apprehensive about how much I am billing. So if you take this logic and this kind of a discussion payments, gathered momentum and we gathered that volume because of that aggregate, that 20%, 20% volume that came up from 80% of the. My idea is we have to look at the small players. So to the last or the last player of the sector, and when you capture his percentage, his stakes are much less, and when you consolidate it, that volume builds.
Very, very interesting.
So rather than looking at, so if UPI has been successful, you are able to go out to a street vendor and buy 200 grams of tomatoes with a UPI payment. That's where it came in, not with somebody who is paying, 2,000 for income tax. So I would always look for consolidating all players.
Excellent.
you.
That's again
That is
wonderful.
that business model. I'm not talking about the technology. Technology is available everywhere. That business model, that executing model, that administering, that governance, that is the innovation. That is.
That's very, very interesting. Just turn the whole thing upside down. Don't go by own logic. Attend the top guys, got your volumes, have your PR, etc. Thank you very
For
much.
that matter, technology can always be procured.
Yeah.
Technology can always, and how do I make it contextualized to what I need here?
Yeah. Perfect.
Thank you.
Surendra, now I'll come back coming to you. You know this industry, or part of the oldest association. Perhaps when brought in innovation in those times, started gold trading, Bombay Bullion Exchange. Bombay Bullion Association. Now, so when people talk about innovation, not specific to IFSC, but innovation, what do you, first of all, do you think the industry is ready to accept? I'm again talking more of the Indian industry, but the bullion industry globally also is just very, very conservative. There are set ways, etc. So, what do you think the drivers for this? And do you think we will succeed at all?
Well, if you would asked me this question about 5 years back or 7 years back, I would have said no. But in last 2-3 years, we have seen tremendous improvement, lot of transparency in the entire gold ecosystem. See, this gets reflected by number of public offers which are coming from the jewelry industry. So this is one of the greatest achievements. So I think the industry is ready. What industry currently is looking for is expanding its horizon, not only to the like professor said, not only to the urban class but also to the rural class. See, I'll just tell you one innovation. We have 16 crore demat account, 17 crore demat account in our country of the total population of 130 crore. But we do not have a single product where a gold gets credited to a demat. There is no product available. That sovereign gold bond was available. That also has been stopped. So we can think of, even if 1 gram gold goes to each individual demat account, it will be 160 tons of additional gold investment every year. That would be greatest product available. And then this can be a kind of a gold monetization. This can also lead to lending borrowing mechanism, which like equity market already has. So there are many such products, like Ashok ji has given a beautiful presentation about what GIFT-IFSC can do, like Dore import, integration of BDR with EGR. So there are products like I personally feel that GIFT-IFSCA should have, we always have a lot of convention center, in major cities, but we do not have an export center. Why can't we have a jewelry export center or a bullion export center in the GIFT City? It has to be a 365 days affair. So we can have a trade fairs like one day or say for 1 week you can have a handmade jewelry fair. Another week you can have probably a studded jewelry fair. Third week you can have diamond jewelry fair. Fourth week you can have plain jewelry fair. So these are kind of innovations which industry requires, and I think people are ready for it. Today what is happening in case of export also, the buyer needs to find out where is the exhibitions are being held. We should have some platform where it is 365 days round the year. Okay. We can have this thing.
Very, very interesting. So you feel that we are ready for the innovation, and therefore GIFT-IFSC has a role to play. Starting with India, I always make this point when I come to GIFT-IFSC. GIFT-IFSC is for the globe. At this moment of time, but even IIBX, I think will hope so, but we should think global when we talk about innovation, because I don't think even globally there is much innovation. In fact, we are heading digital. Now coming back to the banker. Manish, you have been banker and you know about IFSC. Because here what matters is there is ease of doing. Hey, I look at IFSC perfectly what it says. Have an idea. Don't worry about anything else. Come here. The highway for India. But so my point to you is, as you stand today, as far as we, barring imports, relaxation of imports and all is definitely a very important piece, but that's more policy. Barring anything to do with imports, is there any possibility of, think as a banker, it is possible to bring things, innovate without making it easier for buyers?
So, Som, as you rightly said, one part of innovation process related. So, rightly have a system in place, have a good exchange. One is process innovation, the form of import. Talk about product innovation. Domestic market, in market, at sovereign, gold monetization. Apart from banking, non-banking and have digital products. What banks or banking entities can offer, constraint or regulate product or the approved products, I should say. And since we approve products, product innovation.
Brilliant.
At how IFS facilitate any kind of idea and taxation and accommodation, as in banking open ups, IFS shifts it and become a natural hedging center, natural go-to markets requirement which will come up from India. Just a example of this, what we hear from the press and what we hear from the market, probably it may not come anymore. Or products have been used and which better manage the offering which was there for the market. The second thing find us the form of the success provides to the end user. Talk about country which and special for industry, like you have 3 to 4 lakh jewelers, thousands. Best example that is has like got acceptance in India or else in the digital, that kind of.
Thank you. So you saw Ashok's presentation. I want to actually drag that as part of this. But now I'm going to start in the second round with questions about ideas. Ashok, I start with you. Presented something very interesting. And I mean, 2 years ago, inaugurated. Yeah, on that day. Yeah, nice things to have, but I don't know whether it will happen. It is a reality. Well, congratulations and the regulator.
Thank you.
Because sometimes you shouldn't forget the path we have come. See, it's always very, very dark and we walk into something unknown. In fact, when we first started this idea, people said, what is the exchange? You don't mine anything. You don't have recycling industry. What is the thing? And I have always believed from my previous jobs and levers, in India, primarily, the primary benefit of any idea, much less than the collateral benefit. You take any of the steps in India, the collateral benefits are way, way, way higher. We never plan for it. That's the way it is. So, what is, to you specifically, have you got a pipeline of innovation ideas? If I were to ask you 3 big ideas that you want to do, it can be from your slide, but just tell us 3 innovation ideas in the next 3-5 years.
Yeah, thank you so much. And start by saying that, a very part of our success now has been our regulator, because they are. But I say it in every seminar I go, because the kind of openness with which they approach any idea, and sometimes they are 2 steps ahead of you. Not only what we have been able to do, it's what regulator has also visioned, and they have supported us. But let's look at the 3 points which you said for the next 3 to 5 years. I would like to say, we would like to actually compress it. not 3 to 5. I would like to do it in next 2 years. That is something, because now I think the time has come to really quicken the pace. We really cannot go with a little much longer pace, because what we have to do it fast, move, and then test it. It works fine. Otherwise, think
So
of
tell
something
us those
quickly. One is that I'm actually very gung-ho about this whole linkage with the domestic exchange piece when it happens, that BGR to EGR portability, and there's immense possibilities. So as we talked, so this EGR becomes a digital gold, right? In a regulated environment. That is one thing, backed by physical gold in the vaults, approved by SEBI, and all those kind of things. So once something has been traded, which is here, which is again coming from the international players, gets traded here, BDR to EGR portability happens at the ZIFI, and then that whole EGR, that starts taking shape and giving shape to various financial innovations in India. So if you want to go to, say, Titan, and you show them in your Demat account that I have 100 gram EGR, so what are you going to charge me? So no, I'll not pay you for this. I'll transfer this 100 gram EGR in your account. You just take the making charges, right? So one of the things. Or you take this EGR, go to the bank, you say I want a loan against it. Can they give it? I don't know whether against bullion right now it is permitted, against jewelry certainly it is. But these are some of the things which we can look at. But the dream is, can we make this link? This is one. One to BDR to EGR. Second thing is, I would like to reach out to large number of players in India and abroad. So just to tell you, to give you the context, we are already in 20 states. We have covered 82 districts of the country. Now these 571 entries are coming from 82 districts. And people all earlier used to say, though, this is Gujarat based exchange. No, we have reached out to all over India. North, south, east, west, where we have all covered. So I'm only hoping that at some point of time, through banks, if not directly, our gold will be going to most of the districts in the country. Our silver will be going to most of the districts in the country. And at a phenomenally transparent way. Pricing is known. We have vaults at least in the 4 regions, and the delivery happens every 30 minutes, and they are able to take the gold, as soon as they click. This is part of the first one. I'm just not. Because now the key part is on the international side. What we are very keen is to develop within the system the products around BDR, and I believe that will be the sandbox for India, because what we can do, what the kind of financial products we can create around BDR here, that at some point of time will be replicated in India. Of course, I did talk about repo, we talked about lease, we did talk about loan against BDR, but there are other products also. I talked about the bullion IBX benchmark, IIB benchmark, or India International Bullion Benchmark. Then can we have also the derivatives product around it? Because we want the global players, the regional players to come to IIBX and trade the bullion. Now the third thing is, I also understand that we need to create linkages, because at some point of time we have heard word is flat, and there has to be linkages with the other global players. We have the strength of consumption of 800 tons a year, plus whatever else comes here. A large population which will continue to grow. If we are going to become such a large economy, we'll certainly buy more and more gold. And then we need to have linkages with the global exchanges, not only for the physical, but also for their trading on our exchange, because we want them to come on our exchange and trade BDR. We want them to come and trade our futures, so that the goal of price discovery at IBX price, the setting of the price becomes a reality. I believe these are all doable, but we will work with the stakeholders, we will work with the government, we will work with the regulator, we will work with the think tanks, we will work with the World Gold Council, and we will work with the industry and banks, and we believe this is immensely doable.
Right. Thank you. But one question will always remain. I'll come back to you later. Even in this, you want to be a service You want to go with a service orientation to the global industry, or you want to go with a leader orientation? I'll explain that later, because we always have the service. Like, you do everything, I'll provide you a service, I'll provide you vaulting, even in manufacturing and all. Is that what we want to do, or you want to actually bring the product? Is important for us to do. Because if we have to be a leader in innovation, you've got to have your banks and others supporting. You want repo, must be an Indian bank willing to give you a fund. I mean, we are not there yet. None of the Indian banks are able to lend dollars and things like that. But it's an important question before us. Otherwise, we'll only be servicing. Barclays, you please give a loan. You know what? I will give you BDR transfers and, give you the collaterals. Not a bad business, but it's still important. I'm coming to, we all spoke about innovation and, Ashok, whose role is it to? Is it IFSC, IIBX, or what would you say should be for this innovation? Otherwise, a panel can't do it.
No, I think that's a great question, but I want to just touch upon a couple of things before I come to that. I think Ashok Ji and IIBX have been doing a phenomenal job. He presented some numbers, but I think the more recent numbers are even more phenomenal than that. They are run rating at about 1,000 plus kg on a daily basis. I think congrats. And I, for some time, I got a bit confused where I was because just for background, before I came to MCX, I used to be at NPCI, the National Payments Corporation, associated with UPI. So for a moment, I thought maybe I was in a UPI panel when the discussion started. But I think the summary of what Madam was trying to say is, can we look at citizen scale, right? Can we really look at that kind of a model that can drive complete and intense participation? And everything that we do is oriented towards that. And going back to 1.6 crore demat accounts and getting, gold, digital gold, or whatever is the appropriate product into that kind of scale is very doable, very doable. And that's really where that whole innovation drive needs to come in. And I think the whole point on PDR to EGR is a personal favorite. So I'm looking forward to really what we can do with that. And that should be one of the elements that helps us to drive this orientation. And I picked up on UPI also because I think it's sort of going back to my experience. It helps to answer your question. The best innovation does not come by some great person sitting in a. It only comes through engagement and interaction. It comes from understanding problems to be solved. And it comes from variety and diversity of views on the table. So working with regulators, working with industry participants, working with traders, investors, working with exchanges, working with banks, working with associations. I think we need all the voices on the table. And it doesn't mean everybody will agree on everything, right? So the most intense disagreements will be there because each person, there's something that everyone believes is good for the larger objective. And then everyone does have their own interest at heart, So there will be differing views, and the ability to also work around that, agree to some, perhaps agree to disagree on some, and taking that action forward, will be crucial. At the same time, this should not lead to a situation where one is following, because what happens in a group, if you're only talking about something that is done somewhere else and okay, let's also do the same, then you are taking a follower footsteps. But if this can table problems to be solved, then you can leapfrog and really take a leadership approach to that solution. So the group then comes up with something that is far more powerful than the cumulative. So that's really my long answer.
Okay, good. That's interesting also, and a good guide for the IFSCA. Keep up this pipeline of, keep up any discussions on innovation, because innovation, as I said, is not something which is time bound. Got to keep looking at it. Now, before I come to you, I'll go to Manish. In this phase of primarily it also RBI has. But do you think in this phase, Indian banks, the reason I say in precious metals is I know precious metals is not one of the big, but without banks, precious metals will remain pretty much where it is. And it will always be a problem at times, and something you forget about at times, but it is at least economic pain to live with, although it is happened to the gold, etc. So question is simple. Do you think Indian banks have a role in this? They have. Now, I know you will have limit speaking about it, but I just want your view.
So, as back started prior to that realization and relaxing facility happened for consignment by followed by gold loan and silver added to it. After that, taxation facility. Then to now, the industry has the marketplace. The way the industry is working is banks have a very big role, a very positive role. And why I say industry, the moment in happens, formalization happens, every and why it multi comfort not only the users or market participant, but also the regulator. The point structuring, the banks are not second point I'd like to make right now intact think tank, and I should say, discussions happen about we are sitting in such a big private hold, and there again banks cycling how it made formalized it financial and first reduce stocks related balance of when
Perfect. It's obviously something, again, as part of the innovation, we got to look at how the key financial players somehow get on. And earlier, banks always had a problem because it was an OTC market domestically. It still is. And even when it comes to imports, it was OTC, one bank talking to another bank, getting it for a particular reason, etc. Now with IIBX, I think that part is removed. How we market it and how we actually build upon that is important. Now, coming back to Surendra, and we have about 17 minutes, so I would like one more round. So if I can just ask you, Surendra, BIS, of Indian standards in India, did something HUIDM. Traceability never found in. They have not fully marketed it. I think there is way behind what it should be. In fact, it can be rolled out for the entire globe. Personally, I think The same thing has been talked about for bullion for years now. So traceability of bullion, blockchain is coming, which where this bar came from, which mine. Actually, nothing has happened. There's a lot of discussions, a lot of players doing this, etc., etc. So, do you think that as part of this innovation, I'm getting very specific, RIBX or IFSC should take an huge global step, making sure that we are absolutely going to back a system. It could be a system from somebody else, which will improve bullion traceability beyond all the problems of conflict minerals and this and that. But do you think we are ready for it, and should we be doing it? Will the domestic industry also support it? Because you can't do it globally while keeping your domestic industry saying you do whatever you want, at your market.
Very true. So, initially, when the hallmarking started in 2021, there were a lot of protest about hallmarking, especially HUID. Still, there is no 100% traceability because it is implemented only in 324 districts, and balance about 400 districts are still pending. But the point in last 3 years, the HUID numbers have been placed on 40 crore gold jewelry pieces. That is a remarkable achievement.
For people who don't know, I don't know how many, at least for a minority who doesn't know, HUID is the unique identification in every piece of jewelry. Never done anywhere in the world. And so every piece of jewelry now in India has a traceable number which you can actually see and log into the BIS and say who sold to whom, where it was sold, etc.
So there are 40 crore pieces which have been marked with the unique identity number. And like Som said, it can be viewed from the BIS website. So similarly, of course, for the bullion also, the BIS has already spoken to all the stakeholders. And as far as IBJA is concerned, we have agreed to this. In fact, we want this traceability blockchain in bullion also. But there are other associations, other stakeholders who are not interested in this, and that is why it is holding back for some time. But I'm sure the time has come when we should look at the bullion traceability also, and 100% bullion traceability. I understand that we already have about, say, out of 25,000 tons of gold, we may have 8,000 tons of bullion also. That we will not be able to trace, which is already in the household. But every new bullion sold should be hallmarked. There has to be a traceability, and industry is prepared for it. We have to understand one thing, that this HUID helps us to win the customer confidence. Customer knows what he is buying. You have seen now the jewelers have been advertising as responsibly sourced. So these kind of advertisement have started coming in our country. And they have been, the young generations they want to buy gold only from those jewelers only. So I think bullion hallmarking is a must. I'm very hopeful that it will come by first week of April or maybe by first week of July or so. Because almost all the process for bullion hallmarking and traceability aspect.
Now, I'm just extending it because this conversation has come into traceability as one of the big steps you can take to make our presence felt. Because it's not like the global market is waiting for another trusted forums. You have done a fantastic job so far, but you can only take it up to a point. Right now, you're saying India is a big consumer. You want to come into India, come through us. It has worked well. We have still not made imports through IIBX mandatory. That's probably come through, etc. But my question to both you and the professor, in terms of being innovative, while this idea itself may not be innovative, rightly said, it's not just about throwing an idea, it's not just, but executing it in a way. So, Ashok, first, do you think it makes sense for IIBX to tie up with global agents on passive traceability is traceability is identified with IFSC, with IIBA. Is that a global thing would help you?
So you did talk about execution. So just to tell, last time I was just flying in from Mumbai, I happened to. But this is something you just to tell you. I mean, you know that we are a signatory to a World Goal Council of Sustainability and Traceability. We are one of the signatories. Second thing is WGC has already embarked upon a project where from mines whatever will come, this is all be put on a blockchain and they will be able to trace the bars. So what I'm trying to say, till the time they come to our vault, that project is already being undertaken by WGC. Now comes what happens beyond it. Beyond it, just to tell you, our BDR, what we have been able to do in our depository, we have created a one-to-one congruence between the bullion depository and the bar. So each bar number, the refinery name, the purity and the weight, all these are captured in the BDR. And that's what we are saying, that once we transmit this BDR to EGR portable, that the same bar number and all this gets etched into the ETR, which so till that time it is electronically being traded, it is trade.
Fine. So you are saying it's already there in the offering, and as far as the global piece is concerned, it's someone else like it. So we are party to it. We'll handle it. Okay, Professor, what about?
So, this is a good question. This ask cholesterol got me cracking, but at the same time, in a few cholesterol is 2%. What is important for the bad? Understood what was talked as cholesterol. Kill that bad cholesterol. What we need is more of protein. What do you mean by protein is what I would like mechanisms, which I think IABX are the main for the enable. This I would like. Flexibility. Why we don't capital volume? How we can increase more volume? So the rationally try to back to say that can I end first? Can I end? How can I look at how I can look back to and tech? So therein come to blockchain. This particular such work which I would like to about. In fact, I have bumped off this idea into of the major SaaS solution country. And can AI, morning also we talked about AI, is something that is considered as either as a fad or as a ornamental thing, or people not understand or are not capable of capitalizing or fully leveraging the potential. Of you might know my PhD work was also a part of it was based. It was long ago about AI. Has got some potential. And in fact, one of the models that I'm trying to bump off with another partners, like when I say if we have to enhance traceability, if we have to put in trust there, the fundamental problem in what is a gap? Our processing time and whole lot of time due diligence that switches off. So there is an AI model which I came across which could kind of segregate systems which are all the low risk components and which are all the high risk ones. For a low risk, to a quicker processing, and can a high risk item mitigated through AI mechanisms and can enhance. So I think there is a merit for us get some good, robust AI models and not use the technology and tools as a adornment, as an ornamental pieces, but to do something at the ground level to improve our process efficacy. Right.
So, coming back, are there any or success? Sorry,
No, I don't think so. I think given that India is such a large consumer of gold, I think, you sort of lead with that because that's an area of strength. So I would say that most of the innovation has, we've sort of led with the bullion front. And I would also second what Ashokji was mentioning with the good work that IFSCA is also doing here. That just like good practices, innovations from the domestic context, have now been slowly getting transferred into what is happening at GIFT City with IIBX, and MCX is a big part of that. For the exchange here to become a sandbox and for us to really take things back into the domestic market is also something that we can look forward to. That itself is a sort of an innovation, I would say. But otherwise, I think the fact that there's a lot more that can happen with the dollar, the kind of participants you can bring in, I mean, it just sort of opens up so much more opportunity when we look at the industry here.
Fine. So we just have another 5 minutes. I want one round of questions. And before that, I will ask myself this question. And if I were to put on this hat and say, what should IFSC mean, having worked in the bullion? The IIBX has been a success, but it is like we can take it on par with going to be a out, but are we going to be price setter, etc.? Then we need to take gold initiative, which means world has to sit up and watch. Nobody in the bullion world is waiting for another exchange, another finance service center. I don't know. Let me take my flight to Gujarat and IFSC. Not there. On the contrary, there are existing players who are saying, oh, who's coming in and taking away? We all know about it. So it's important for us to be a little bold, mean something, not going to be overnight. I mean, so I will put my point and then I want to go back to all of them. I want you to think about at least 2-3 bold things that IFSCA can do in the innovation space. That's my question to you, but I will answer that first on this thing. For instance, portfolio management of commodities. I think it's a little this there. Maybe we should look at it for the India, because it's not happening in domestic space. Can it happen here? Second, things like insurance in gold terms cannot work, but that's the beauty of innovation. It got to be seen as a place where people are really innovating. Got to fail as well. IFSCA does not fail 1 or 2 products. This is my personal view. Please don't get me wrong. If you don't fail, you're just doing what everybody, because you have already done so work. You've got to fail. And fail in a very, I don't want you to fail a big way, but you've got to promote ideas which probably don't seem. We talked about it, insurance in gold terms. Why can't it be done here? So the third one is here jeweler does not need a 24 karat jewelry. Again, there are players here. They are taking the 24 karat and converting it into something else to develop a standard for a jeweler bar. I don't know whether it makes sense or not. which is with the alloy so that he doesn't have to go looking for it. I have no idea whether it will make sense. All I'm trying to say is, want to get crash, got to think different. It is not possible. I like what Praveena said. Can't be a follower and be a big success. You got to probably jump. Maybe you will fall down, you will get hurt, but you got to think. So now coming back, we got exactly 2 minutes. I want each one of you to say 1, 2, whatever time. What are the big reforms that innovations that you should? IFSC.
I think lending and borrowing. This is the major thing I would. And secondly, IFSCA should also focus on, like we import rough diamond, we polish it and export diamond. Similarly, we should start importing scrap, gold scrap, refine it, export. These are the two things.
I would say we have developed a nice trading center. Price risk and transactions are already happening. Now focus on how to attract holding of gold within IFSCA by whoever is holding overseas loan.
Tokenization, everything can be talked about, but hold gold in a very.
Yeah, I think we have to work off our strength. Ultimately, this is in India with a link to India. So not just solving the BDR to EGR, but also outside the IFSCA scope, but the GST and other sort of related issues there. The second is we need the full suite of products. So forward contracts, and I really liked your idea of the jeweler bar, things like that. And third is what's in it for me? Why should they come here? So probably lending and something that makes the financial model more lucrative.
I would like India to be a disruptor, gold disruptor in the gold market. Because, I would like India, particularly IFSC, to explore cryptocurrency. And why I say this? Backed by gold. Cryptocurrency and bitcoins, so that this would enhance our. I look at the gaps in the system. What are the gaps? Where exactly? You're all saying that I want to reach there. I want to reach. What's a gap? Gap is our traceability and our transparency. So to bridge this, either blockchain or now I would like to go ahead with bitcoins and cryptocurrencies. And if the challenges in these is lack of the volatility. If it is going to be backed by a solid physical asset like gold, the volatility part will be. The next thing is that we talk about volumes. If I have to have volumes, I need to have small players. That will also enhance my liquidity. And then when I enhance all these things, my rapid processing. I don't want to be like a slow goose. I want to have quick. And if I want processes to be quick, I would like to enhance my processing speed by AI and models. And in fact, let me tell you one thing, as a think tank, these are all some of the research ideas that we keep talking about. And this is something that I would love to take up some from anybody. Thank you. That's for the opportunity.
Some of the things have already been said, which I wanted to say, but I just like to make one point that one thing which has not been said yet, that create link national exchange, international centers, whereby we encourage them to come IBS, start trading.
Thank you all very much. That's the time we have. I know that's the time we have, and many thanks. Yes, Harish. Innovation also needs an investor. We are looking at you as one, so please.
Yes, sir. देखो सर, समस्या का पता चलता है ना, तो उसके साथ साथ समाधान का भी पता चलता है. तो जस्ट मेरा कहना है कि बीडीआर और ईजीआर भूल जाइए. बीडीआर से ईजीआर नहीं हो रहा है, पर बीडीआर से कॉमरेस तो हो सकता है. तो हमारे पास ये स्टेज पे ही समस्या भी है और समाधान भी है. जैसे बीडीआर अशोक जी के पास है, तो प्रवीणा मैडम के पास कॉमरेस है. तो हम यही चीजें हम उसको आगे बढ़ा सकते हैं. तो जब वही हमारी ताकत है कि हम यहाँ से हम भूल जाए कि शायद गवर्नमेंट हमको हेल्प करे. अगर हम बीडीआर से ईजीआर की जगह बीडीआर से कॉमरेस में कन्वर्ट कर सकते हैं. ऑलरेडी एक कड़ी ट्रांजेक्शन हो चुका है, हम इसको आगे बढ़ाना चाहिए. प्लीज.
Thank you very much. Innovation is always a very, very difficult topic because different people have different views, ideas about what an innovation is, etc. But I think the panel experts did explain it very well. We just have to see the context of innovation in various places. Biggest innovation, in my view, is old ETFs in early 2000s. Just imagine at that time in US or something like that, when people said you must financialize the asset. Somebody made a point that, yeah, I'll have a storage in a place, make a security, and that security you trade, nothing happens. You know, today it looks very simple because we are monetizing everything. But that is the kind of thinking that we should come now, knowing what we have. It's always an ongoing process. It's never ending. But thanks very much for a patient.